Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, Michael. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, finally. So, for everybody that is just joining this session, can you please share with us where are you uh, coming from? In the past, we have people from India, Japan, Mexico, Colombia. That'll be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. First of all, I'm sitting on site at one of our projects in Los Angeles right now. Yeah, we are. I'm Michael. I'm the CCO at VT. I've been with the company now for almost 11 years, and we're primarily based in Los Angeles, but we've got team members in New York, Colorado, up in the Bay Area, kind of all over. But yeah, our main studio spaces and offices are all here in LA.
Good. So, before we dive into fully VTPro design, which is one of my favorite studios of these guys are doing amazing and crazy shit all over around. So thank you guys everyone for joining the HQ creator session. So these sessions are here to inspire students, creators from all over the world, to connect them with their inner minds and process by sharing top artists. Like today we have BT Pro. Thank you very much for joining us. And every month, we're going to have a creator in our industry live here on YouTube and Twitch channel. And thank you so much for your help and your contribution, Michael, to this kind of like thing. So I remember we met in a festival, as I can call Day for Night, right? That's where we met.
Yeah, may it rest in peace. Unfortunately,
Yeah, so for those
yeah.
who don't know what is the Day for Night was one of the badass festivals in the world, right? It was great, it was amazing. Rest in peace. But yeah, it was amazing. We were introduced by Jimung, yeah, Bradley. Great. And from there we have been in touch very closely. And I'm very happy for also meeting you, Michael, and having you here. And I want to start by sharing with everyone because uh, I also don't know yet how do you start this journey with making something that we call now immersive and digital art. Right now, in the past was only digital art, and somehow after a few years or a couple of years, this was kind of like becoming the immersive industry, right? We didn't call it that way when we started, and I'm pretty sure you know. But really great to share with us, like how you come up in this industry.
Totally. Yeah. As an organization, kind of, we started originally in production design. And it was, way back, especially for some of us and some members of the team that have been here a long time, we were kind of creating, we were doing parties mostly. Then we got into some live concert touring, but also at the same time, we were building out kind of the technology side of what we do. It really kind of began with all of our kind of collected interests and talents. Everybody, we were really into lighting, we were really into projection mapping, we were really into media servers, we were really into the hardware and the software that was kind of creating a lot of these experiences. And so from there, I think that we just kind of kept growing and expanding the practice of what we do, being really, really hands on with the tools that we use within it, and actually being the ones that are using those tools. So we we would do frat parties and projection map giant houses, and with a small team, and then have crazy lighting designs and all sorts of stuff. But then it kind of just, year over year, we kept doing more and more, but also pursuing um, different practices and technologies that we really kind of wanted to somewhat selfishly get into, then figure out a way to kind of move that into the projects that we do as well. We've done a lot of robotics, and I mean, the first robot we bought sat in a crate for like 6 months because we really didn't know how to use
Oh
it
my
or how to
god!
do it. And then, over time, kind of we, through us pursuing how, we wanted to work with that technology and the team getting really into it, that's kind of the same practice of how we adopt all these different things.
And it's and actually this is one of the things that I guess it's very special from you, like working with robotics. Like a lot of people is very digital, and a lot of studios tend to be like projection based studios. But in your case, it's been crazy how you've been mastering the use of robotics into the industry with immersive. And will be great if you can share with, I don't know if you have something to show us with this kind of like mastering in robotics on a project that you like, and you can talk us a
Yeah,
little.
I mean, it's not really me; it's really the team. Especially some of our creative team, and also a lot of kind of our creative technology team has really pushed a lot of kind of what's possible with it, from developing our own tool sets and practices and everything, but just kind of having them on hand to actually explore and play with. It's I mean, the team has made incredible tools, but mostly kind of driven out of us actually experimenting with them hands on and then figuring out how we're going to utilize them. Um, Even kind of down to I'll pull up something, but I'll pull up kind of one of our most recent projects was actually for the titles at off last year. Um, and so this was uh, four robots in the space, all choreographed together. Three of them with lasers, lighting elements, different pieces like that. But then, actually, for the motion control element of the film as well, it was a robot from our buddies over at Motorized Precision, which have also made incredible tools for also Moco capture with robots. But for us, I mean, we just kind of kept finding projects that allowed us to get more more robots, and then kind of develop other practices for them. And so now we use a combination of a few different things. We use Mimic as our kind of actual a Mimic in Maya, which everybody should go check out. It's free. And it has a animation tool sets for robotics that you can then export actually to the bots. But then there's also been a ton of development on our side in Touch Designer for our playback system, and actually using it as kind of the controller for our basically kind of our robotic hub to everything.
I was really surprised when the first when I went to Day for Night and I saw a piece that you did there with a couple of robots. I was shocked. Like I'd never seen such level of precision in the choreography and sound and music and immersivity, and also telling a story as well. Like it has a narrative, but somehow those robots had a life in it and have like a role in it. It was really interesting for me. And before we were into this talk, into this call, we were just discussing about the importance about how we should, as studios, have an artistic approach, right? Or artistic projects to ourselves, like the combination of having projects like off or having projects very kind of like that allows you to try it. I would like you to tell me more about this type of practice, the way you guys do it.
Totally, yeah. I mean, kind of like what I was saying, for us, being hands on with the tools that we're actually using also kind of takes us going out there, identifying elements and things that we want to use potentially for commercial projects, but then also just for ourselves. During Before the pandemic, we would try to produce a at least a project a year that was mostly self funded and kind of put together by the team. During the pandemic, it became obviously more challenging for us to do that together, but we did make a number of remote projects that were kind of pushing and trying different elements, but also just kind of giving a creative output to everyone. Now we also have a couple kind of internal things that the team's been kind of building and working towards. We just tried actually for a party we built tracked go-karts in our office space using a new radio tracking system that we wanted to try out. And then also there's a group of team members that have been designing a game all through a payphone, which has been, and then actually R&Ding and prototyping it, which has been really awesome to see, and really, really cool. But it is like, I mean, for us, it is being, you have to identify ways to invest into innovation.
Yeah.
And it is, yeah, I think it's important to the wider community culture of what we do, but then also the practice to it. Because
Yeah.
in investing in that innovation, that's also then a learning and something that you can pass on to your client work as well, and then kind of create hopefully a self-funding cycle where you can continue to kind of innovate in other spaces, but then also use it as a tool then in your future client work.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I've been noticing from the like the stories of the studios. Like the most successful studios in this industry are the ones who at least do one artistic self project a year or a couple of them, so they can innovate and they can sometimes those artistic projects are the ones who are in this kind of like viral thing, like for example like the box or all these kind of like really big kind of crazy projects, and clients will look at it and will see like, oh, I want this for my brand or something like that, and then you can already have this thing that you develop, and that's kind of like the a healthier, I would say like cycle for the industry, for the studio, and that's very valuable. And you guys, how do you guys became so successful? Like, how do you manage to work with now you work with Google and Netflix and all these top brands? Like, it will be great to hear your story. Like, how do you come up with making parties now brands?
I mean, it's like I know and I don't know. But I mean, number one, I think the thing that has created a successful business and organization for us is the talent of our teams. I mean, hands down. Like I think in a lot of ways we're a talent business, and it is the unique talents of all of our people in even their specific areas of practice, but then also how they apply it together. I think that that has been one of the most important things about where we've gotten to today. And so I think that some of my favorite projects and some of our biggest projects are the ones where all of our teams are working together on something. Because it is taking all these different points of view, it's taking all of this input, it's taking all these talents of all these individuals that are kind of coming up to create the entire output all together. Um, and I think what we've been able to do on more of a tactile way is really look at how we can shift the kind of projects that we do based on the talents that we do have within our people, which then allows us hopefully to get better opportunities, build more unique client relationships, and then sell and create bigger work. I think that one of the other factors that's been really big for us is that we take risks. We always do. Um, we frequently will try something we've never done before. We might have somewhat of an idea of how to do it, but maybe not the entire thing quite figured out. But we are definitely a little bit bolder in what we choose to take on, and it is because we want to push ourselves. But it's been something that has allowed us to come in and on complex projects that have then kind of moved us into different client relationships, and bigger and really interesting business.
And sometimes I know it's a very difficult to maintain your artistic vision with a brand, and this is something that you guys, I've noticed that you have your unique artistic way of view things and also create all this experience. I don't know if you can share with us a project that you a recent project that you like for a brand that is not like artistic, but it's more like brand oriented. But at the end, if you look at that project, at it kind of looks artistic, which is kind
Yeah.
of the same thing, right?
I mean, like, and especially for the all the students on here, it's it's important to remember that it is always not going to be your direct artistic interpretation to a
Yeah,
project and client work. It's just like never going to be that way. And the second that you come to terms with that and let go, you're going to be a much happier person. Um, but then I will say, in every project there is some element that artistically is asking for a specific eye or a specific kind of point of view, and also an interesting territory to develop into. I think that recently the team has been working with Doodles, and the PFP program, and it has been a really, I think, fun experience for everybody, because we are taking something that is existed in the digital space and working with them to create it and bring it into the physical space. And so also as a brand and stuff, we've gotten to kind of keep pushing the envelope and keep building experiences for them. So it is kind of a continuing evolution where we learn something, they learn something, and then we're all kind of building it together. Um, I think that it is those kinds of relationships and those kinds of projects. We're actually being pretty imaginative in how we're bringing something to life and really creating a complete experience around something that might not be as tangible as something that exists only digitally. Is really really fun, really really rewarding as well.
yeah. I think one of the cool thing about this industry is the the way you can mix physical with digital nowadays, and this seems to be something really important. And what I see from outside, you guys are doing that well, and not like keep it everything digital, but also trying to incorporate some elements that are also like um, summarizing into the experience at the end. And how has been the failure for you guys, or apparent failure? Like how that failure has been set up for later success? And do you have a favorite failure of yours in a project?
Oh man, yeah, totally. I mean, it's funny because like I mean, all of us in this industry, we show the case study of like our polished final thing, and it's like, oh my god, we did this so great, and like
Yeah,
there's a lot of fucked up shit that happened along the way to get there sometimes, and
of course.
a lot of things go wrong, and it is, I mean, it's really, you have to pay attention to what those things are, and then be open enough to learn from them and move on. I think that when we were at Day for Night in 20, I think that was 2018, 2019, or 2018, doing Telestron, literally the night before it opened, we ripped out the entire cable assembly to the icosahedron head out of one of the robots. It cable snagged and ripped everything out at like 1 in the morning the night before. Um, and yeah, I mean,
I
there was the
didn't notice.
LED control. Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, we fixed it. But uh, we ripped out all of the power to the lighting, the data, and we had the pixels, we had the moving light, we had also all of the dimmer lines to each of the LED diode, the cob lights in every corner. We just ripped it all out. And so it was a obviously it's a complex fix to get it going again, but you know we had to do it. Show's got to happen. But then also from there, it you know it just informs you about how you're going to look at something the next time you do it. And so that originally pushed us into also learning more about more sophisticated cable carriers for robotics. How could we also in testing stress test and also walk through a path of a robot so that way we're making sure that we're existing within the tolerances that we need to for our cable, for our load, whatever it is. But I mean, it was the moment it happened, it was kind of funny because we all just looked at each other and were like, well, I guess we're gonna fix it, and we did. And the team, and the entire team, we stayed up all night, we fixed it, and then we had 3 days of amazing shows.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah,
I think like
there have been
failure.
some pretty fantastic things that have happened. Yeah.
Well, in this industry, failure is the thing that you need to embrace somehow. Like it's going to happen every time. Like there's going to be some messed up things during the way, but those things are going to make your studio, healthier and happier and better and stronger. And it's going to you're gonna learn and you're gonna know next time, like what type of cabling, what type of like thing. And also you have to be prepared, I think, for change, because like everything changed in this industry very suddenly. Like clients even like, can you change this logo, can you change this?
Oh yeah,
you know
yeah.
that's something that's kind of like the most stressful thing that I've noticed into this industry. That's kind of like the stressful things, like be prepared for failure and be prepared for change.
And that's like a life lesson, just like in general, not just in our industry, um, but yeah, I mean, it's like this is and it goes back to kind of what I said about taking risks. Um, Obviously, you want to be responsible in how you do it. You want to take a look at it and kind of weigh everything, weigh as many of the outcomes as if you can predict them, and be responsible in that risk taking. But the thing is also you do have to be willing to potentially fail at certain things.
Yeah, totally.
Um, just cover your ass though, and make sure that you are evaluating the risk you are taking first.
Yeah, and the more you progress in time and in the years, like I have the question, like when your studio or BT Pro was founded.
I mean, it was founded pre 2010, and in some ways been around for quite a while. And especially with kind of our founder previous to that was doing kind of similar things and stuff. And then I think that it was around 2014. Um, 2014, 2016 that I think things got really serious, where we were actually kind of starting to focus on operational structure, on
Yeah.
the business of what we do, the kind of clients that we want to get, and how we want to also grow, but then also build a culture for our studio as well.
And how many people are you in the studio?
We
Like,
are 65 full-time people
mhm.
all together now, and we also work with some fabulous freelancers. If any of you are watching, you are much appreciated. And so yeah, we kind of scale up and scale down, obviously, in the freelancers that we bring on, but full-time studio is 65 people across our teams.
So so I'm making to you this question because the more you advance and the more people you have to manage, like somehow when you start to grow, we become more managers than creators sometimes. And this is normal, this is natural, right? This is part of the growing. You have to take care of different things, but you have to take care of something very important, which is the creative process. Like a can you share with us how is the design process implemented? Do you have a specific methodology that you guys have been developing yourself? Like, how you been doing this? And I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, actually, I mean, so I mean, I have my process, and there's how I think about things, but it really is about building a team process. And instead of instead of being rigid in what that process is, I think it needs to be fluid with the members that are involved in it. So, I mean, just recently, the some of the creative team has been working on a kind of a breakdown of how we do things, and kind of the practices that we do it within. But also, it was important that people are allowed to explore and experiment in practices that might not be their kind of strong point or their main focus. So what we've done is we've kind of looked at how we can break out practice of creative direction and strategy, environmental design, and kind of physical design, and then what we're calling kind of digital innovation as well. So across that, we've got these storytelling aspects, these physical design aspects, but then also interactive generative development that then fits into the project. Within those practices, different team members are developing parts that relate to an overall project. If there is an environmental design, digital element, whatever. But the thing is that the team members can then are flexing into the other practices as well. So say that a senior designer is working on the environmental aspect of it. If you were to break it down, maybe 70% of their time is focused on that part, while they're also contributing to the creative direction, say 10% of their time, but then also on the digital side, another 20% potentially, just as an example. The other part of it, though, too, is that I think that for us, and this is something that we want to always continue to get better at, is that creative process also exists with outside of just the creative team within our organization. So it is kind of going back to what I said, I mean, but just about all the talents of our people and working in points of view correctly and responsibly in process as well, from members of our creative technology team, from our production team, from our shop teams. So, and I think that's something that we need to always kind of pay attention to. But it is really about having kind of assigning obviously creative leadership to a project, but then and then identifying at the very beginning what the strategy is of us going about that work, but then also making sure that we're opening it up to these two inputs from the rest of the team as much as we can.
Yeah. And in what belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your work in the last 5 years?
I mean, honestly, the silver lining to the pandemic is that we opened up the talent pool of people that we work with, um, forcing us to go remote. I mean,
You guys
really
still
kind of.
remote?
We're a mixture, so I would say that some of our people are back in the office, but then we also we work as hybrid,
Yeah.
and so we have remote team members, we have in-person team members. A lot of us are here on site right now. There's also a whole portion of our team that's on site for another project in Miami right now, and so I think that what we really felt that we all had to be together pre-pandemic to really do what we do. But coming out of it, it just kind of opened us up. I mean, and during process, opened us up to there's a lot of really awesome people out there to work with, and it's totally possible to do it, and still kind of have process and high output as well. So we've really kind of adopted this hybrid model of how we work, which will continue.
Yeah, no, it's. I think right now one of the most important things in the industry is to uh, just digest that this is going to be here for a long time. The way we're getting to work, and right now all of the tools that we need to implement, like it's very important how we relate with those tools and with the people as well. And
Process. Yeah.
yeah, process. I think most important thing in this conversation is like you have to take care of your process, otherwise the process will eat you alive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a thing. Yeah. Um,
So I want to take a quick pause here just to let people know a bit more about the HQ, which is the reason why we're here. So, but while I'm just talking to you about this, will be great for you guys so to share all of your social media where you can be reached, and so or the people that are here to help us, we're going to share with you all of their uh, Instagram, Facebook accounts, Twitter. If you still use it, Facebook, no one uses it anymore. So I'm gonna share with you some of the highlights from the HQ, the Interactive Immersive HQ Pro. Is the one of the first school for interactive immersive designers, creative technologies, and touch designer artists and developers. We have been like trying to do a very big effort to pull out over 60 full touch designer and creative technology video courses. That's 170 plus hours. That's a lot of content. We have a private Facebook group filled with coaches, peers, touch designer experts, including Elburs and Matthew Ragan. We know Matthew because he's a close friend to us, and they are there to solve your questions and your anything that you want to do. And we also have this thing that we call the live accelerator sessions, which are basically workshops that feature top designer. The touch designer pros and sharing their basic strategies, secret tools, and we have an over 120 custom built touch designer tools, project files, templates. And so right now we have 50%. And thank you so much for listening to this thing. And we continue now with with the program. Thank you. So I wanted to use this time to also take some questions from the audience that it's out there, like from the students. So there are people from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands. There are people from Vancouver, from different parts, and this is a good time to have like BT Pro and to get your question together. So use the chat over there. If you want to have some specific question, please go ahead. I have my own questions for you, but besides the one that I've been asking you, but I have some specific questions about. What are the bad recommendations you hear in your profession?
Bad recommendations?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know about that one. It's
That was a tricky one.
I know. I mean, I think
That's
it's oftentimes easy to take kind of like the easy path out of things. I mean, the you know there are ways to cut corners and everything,
yeah,
right? I think that it's important to always kind of remember that why you're there and kind of look at as much of as much of the quality of the output as you're creating as possible. Remind yourself that there is a that you're doing this because you enjoy it, and that you are creating
yeah.
experiences and playing with technology because like we enjoy what we do, and sometimes it's really easy to kind of just like fall into a trap of negativity to it, and especially sometimes in client work, and but like, come on, this is a great industry to be in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so we should have fun in what we're actually doing. Um, I also think that um, I would, advice that I would give to especially students and everything is just don't take this too seriously. We're not, um, we're not saving lives. We're not sending a rocket to the moon, but we are doing work that is meant to be inspiring and fun and also innovative in our space. And so the a lot of the times you can tell in most design work if the people working on it enjoyed the process of what they were doing. It
Yeah.
comes out in everything. And so that enjoyment is of process and also output is important to keep in mind because it will show in the work.
So speaking about the industry, there's people here saying that they're interested about switching the industry. Like some people are say like, hey, I do have background in photography, video production, but not much of developer. And someone here also asked someone interesting like. Um, I was curious to know what kind of skill set would you look for someone who's not in the industry but interested to switch it.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, kind of on both sides of that question. I mean, I think that there are obviously hard skills to this industry. If you're a touch designer, programmer, an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, a designer, whatever it is. There are those hard skills that you can go out and learn. I think that it is also, though, important to be well rounded in skill sets. So, being somewhat of a generalist is a really great way to start in this industry, I feel. Again, like kind of my opinion. But I think that having a generalist background in different artistic outputs, like I know someone mentioned their photography and video. You know, there are shared elements in process that can apply to a lot of different outputs.
Yeah, and this is great because this industry is open. You can be an architect, you can be an accountant, you can be an engineer, you can be a even I'm gonna say that you can be even a doctor because sometimes
Yeah,
you make some kind of specific projects with doctors and you can collaborate with them. So it's a very kind of like novel industry because it helps you to collaborate with everyone, whatever they do. You just have to figure out like a narrative. And as you say, like we're not going to save the world, but we can, but we can,
I mean, we might, yeah, but
but we can tell nice stories. So okay, so there are a lot of questions coming in, and one of the questions that are there is what is the company project selection process like? How often do projects not win the current client bids, and how do you? So now that you come up working with big clients with big brands, I assume that you get a lot of kind of like requests for not in the pandemic or we're still in the pandemic, but not in that period of time, of course. But I I I think you guys tend to select projects based on what? Like what is the
yeah,
problem?
I mean, so we look at projects on in kind of a filter. And so, number one, number one, does the project make sense? Timeline, budget, goals, there's that. The second thing also is the project aligned with our values as an organization? Is it interesting? Are we pushing the boundary in some way? Are we creating something that we're going to enjoy? Is there a part of it that might be something new that we haven't experienced before? If the project aligns with some of our core values, then that's kind of one of our key factors to it. The other thing is kind of looking at the opportunity cost. And so we pitch on work. We also have relationships that we don't pitch, which is fantastic. But we do get asked to pitch on business where we're developing an idea and then showing our idea and then hopefully winning the actual business. I think that we are. I don't know the exact number, but we do have a pretty high win rate. I'm sure it's similar to a lot of the other businesses out there. But we do we go through the process. We pitch on business. We process it. We bid it. We do the whole thing. And it's a kind of a necessary part. But also, I personally like pitch. Pitch is fun because you're quickly kind of coming up uh with a approach to something, and then kind of playing the game of how are you communicating your idea to that client, and then moving that business along.
Yeah, I think there is an importance about saying no
That
to
too. Yeah.
projects. Like even when you're a freelancer, or you say yes to everything because you're afraid about not winning enough money, or like and I think what you just mentioned is the importance about having your own values and make a decision based on your own values. Like not it's not just about the money. Of course, it is about the money, but it has to be a balance, right? And it has to be a balance about what you're going to take versus what you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I don't know if there's more questions there. If you want to pull out something, let me just check really quick. Hello from Prague. So I have one. I made a prototype interactive projection experience that makes people feel like they're on drugs, even they're not. No, when they're like, okay, this is not a question, sorry. It's good. Um, so I think we're running out of time, and we're not going to get to all of the questions. But I don't know if you want to share something with the students that we have here. I mean, we have people from all over the world. You want to share your final thoughts uh, in the conversation? Feel free.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that it is a it's a few things. I mean, and I'll kind of there's one question that stood out in here. I mean, about if we were starting something new today. Um, I mean, it kind of goes back to some of the key points that I hit. It's like this is fun. Like you should have fun with what we're doing. Obviously, it is like creating a job out of it, which can have it's stressful and it's anxiety ridden and it's crazy and sometimes you feel like a path doesn't totally make sense, but it is worth trying it out. I went to school for theater and biology, and here I am now, doing some theater, no biology. But it really is like you know, have kind of the willingness to try new things, but also be open to new points of view, new opinions of the people around you, and go out there and find people that are creating interesting work and actually experience it. I think that um, all of us kind of going out there and actually having being part of the community that of people that are making things and seeing the work that other people are creating, it's all informative process and it's all um is going to add something to your perspective, your mindset of how you also approach the work that you do. And especially for us, like, I mean, experiences everywhere. It's it doesn't just have to be a high art thing. It experience is everywhere, and points of inspiration are really everywhere in it.
Yeah. So just making a wrap up from where we started, like you guys started in parties and everything, like move from there. Now we're in something that is called the immersive industry. And I have a question for you guys. Like, what's next for you for BT Pro, and how do you align this artwork not to go far from your vision when you're working in these big projects? Like, what do you think you're going and hitting? Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's community growth, and also growth of our the talent of our people. I think that we want to continue creating really interesting projects. We want to continue making work that inspires the audiences we interact with, but also really inspires us. I think that in practice, it is looking at what is the complete kind of the complete holistic practice of designing and developing experiences, regardless of the medium that they exist within. I think that unfortunately, but also, it is great for our industry. The business of immersive experience has become its own thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for all of us to keep considering the everything that goes into an experience, from the invitation, the touch, smell, sight, every action that you kind of have in it is additive to the experience, and some of those micro cues are sometimes more impactful than the big thing that you're trying to communicate. And so I think that for us as a practice, we'll continue kind of developing towards what are the tools that add up to kind of that complete look at experience and how are we really crafting it.
Yeah, I think what you just said is highly important for people who wants to join this industry. It's not just about making robots and about making visuals things. It's just about taking care and make and being responsible about the people's experience, like what they're going to do and why they're going to do that. Like answering the question why always tend to drive into some unknown places and crazy places, and this is how it works somehow. All right, so thank you so much, Michael. We run out of time. I'm really happy that you could join us. I hope to see you in Mexico City soon.
Ah, man, in a heartbeat, I'll come down. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of the people who joined this session from different parts of the world, from to all of the students, and also for the community. Um, Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you everybody that joined today.
Yeah, good.